Alright guys, it's Scrappy here, and I hope you're doing well and enjoying all day so far. Some more OpTic Scrims going down last night, especially an interesting map set against the FaZe Vegas, but according to rumours, there are yet more roster changes just around the corner. Toronto have officially made a move, but apparently 4 more teams in the next few days might be making changes in the middle of these Major 2 qualifiers, given they know they might not even go to Birmingham if they continue down this trend. What teams might these be, and what changes could we be talking about? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. A couple of things starting out in the Challengers Rostermania side. We know what's happened with the FaZe Falcons or whatever it is. They've put together that kind of combined roster. Not exactly sure the direction that ZooMaa's going to take right now with the Stallions again, because of course Swooti is on that FaZe Falcons Challengers team we talked about yesterday. BenJ though says, because BenJ's been on this wave for some time, he's maybe looking at what the Huntsmen have done. They've brought, and to be fair to Tommy and the Stallions, they've had a number of players go from the Stallions into the league over a course of now the last several years, which is great to see. But also, BenJ could be onto something. That you look at the quality of players that have come through the Huntsmen and the results that they've achieved. Not just the Huntsmen, right? But the fact that they've been around a year, they've already had Nium into the league, they've had Kips now into the league as well. Wouldn't be surprised if Renegade follows at some point as well. Obviously, Rispy's done a great job too. So, yes, few angles there. But ZooMaa said, or BenJ says, that ZooMaa's picking up the community players, right? I don't know if he's calling out Swooti by name, but look, it makes sense from ZooMaa's perspective as far as I'm concerned. Of course, you want to have players with some personality, with some intrigue. And BenJ says, look, Tom's gone the community route with these squads, that's fine. But it's not been delivering success. So is there a better balance to be struck of picking up players who maybe they can make a better team? Because of course the team with Havoc and when Swooti was there was plenty of drama, and that was fantastic entertainment for sure. Did it deliver results? Not necessarily, but you know, some of those players are still around and encouraged. He's now in the Pro League, right? On an Okis as well, on the Cloud9 team. So not to say that it can't work out. And ZooMaa actually discusses this and says, look, sponsors, brand deals, they matter. You've got to be able to sell these teams, especially because ZooMaa's talking with investors about trying to get the Stallions in the Pro League, right? That was a discussion recently. So with that in mind, you've got to have a saleable asset in some sense. If you've got 4 players who don't talk and lick walls, they're not going to be marketable. You're chalked as a player and a team. And he was actually talking about this more generally about the state of the Pro League. I think we've seen this very clear as day in recent years, that certain players that have built a brand for themselves, at least to some degree, will always find themselves in a better position, right? Like the talent that players have, that tends to determine the peak of a player's career, at least with other factors. But the marketability they have, the content they create, that tends to determine the durability, like how long are they around. We've seen a number of players who have arguably been equally good, or at least promising compared to some of the other players that we still have in the Pro League, but yet they were maybe here for 1 or 2 years and now are never heard of again, because in that time frame they didn't do what they could have done. You know, with Doug Martin, back in the day, he was a quality player in Advanced Warfare. You know, he won some championships in that year. We're still talking about Doug. He's still competing. Yeah, is he the player that he used to be? No. Is he dropping some stinker numbers quite often? Yes. But when Cloud9 needed some players, people were still talking about, oh, maybe you just sign Doug, you know, you bring the brand and all of that. And I'm not saying that it's easy to build a brand like Sensor did back in the day. You know, times have changed in Call of Duty and with FaZe and all that. But the point still stands that ZooMaa says a lot of these players are getting overpaid because they bring nothing back to the org. Now, you know, is he wrong? Not necessarily, but also the teams can afford it to an extent. Some players probably deserve what they earn. And look, I'm not trying to pocket watch, right? Like, if you get your bag, King, as far as I'm concerned. But there is an argument that given Cloud9 have really lowballed their guys and they still have some signatures, that maybe other teams could follow a similar approach. I was just expecting this year, we know that the salaries, even though ZooMaa says they're still high with respect to maybe what they should be in his eyes, they're still, you know, they have come down over the last couple of years, and certainly compared to what they were at the start of the COD League. So I was expecting more players to make content, stream scrims, jump on the bandwagon, whatever it takes. But it doesn't really seem to happen, unfortunately. So, I don't know, maybe ZooMaa's hitting the nail on the head, at least to some extent. There's a couple of challenges things things as well. The Academy Green, Roxas is back in Saudi, so Hamza's going to fill in for him while he's returning back to the States. But let's talk about some of this roster drama, because this guy Freudy, well, he tweeted about COD back in December, but he was in BenJ's chat, and he says there are like 4 more teams changing at least one player. Now, he is a director of talent at Evolve Talent. He represents, I think, quite a few pro players as an agent. So with that in mind, where do we go from here? Because Freudy says that there's about 4 more teams that are about to make some moves. And, you know, that's what he says in the chat. So BenJ's talking about it, that in the next week, so maybe not for this weekend, but after this weekend, especially if things go poorly for those respective teams, they're going to be making further moves. So, look, it was a surprise to me that the only changes that we saw after the major were Thieves. Of course, they dropped Kenny Broad and Nium. And then we had Toronto, right? They've now made the ReeaL move, and then of course it was Cloud9 blowing everything up. But that's all we've really seen. This is the major 2 setup so far. So okay, let's find 4 teams that are going to change. Thieves, can't imagine they're going to change again. Neither with OpTic, neither with Gentlemates. Can't imagine either with FaZe or anything like that. So those 4 teams are probably fine. G2, I don't expect them to do anything either. So that's 5. Heretics, you know, potentially they could be in the mix if ReeaL is... Of course, they could try and get ReeaL back. I don't know what their thought process is on that, but... You know, if you're going to find 4 teams to make changes, it's not going to be Cloud9 again. They've already done the moves on that front. So where are we looking, right? Could it be Surge deciding to make another move? Quite possibly. But I think if it's 4 teams, it's likely that there's some sort of movement between teams, right? That's been the talk about Boston and Toronto, with Boston or with Toronto trying to get nasty off Boston. If they were successful there, then that would mean Toronto were to make another change. Boston would therefore be forced to make a change as well. There has been some continued talk about the Falcons, whether they could bring in QK onto the flex role, put Kismet to the sub where he probably wants to be, and then put Exnid to the bench. You keep the Saudi thing, maybe you make the team a bit more comfortable. They've started off pretty poorly here, so that's worthy of keeping in mind. Ravens, I don't expect to be doing anything. Yes, they lost to Thieves the other day, but still their online record with Exceed is very strong, and I don't expect that to change. So I think that FaZe, Ravens, G2, Gentlemate, OpTic, Thieves, Cloud9, you know, they should all be sticking it out. So that leaves you with maybe a Heretics in a ReeaL type situation. Surge, of course, could blow it up at any time, and it wouldn't be a surprise, to be honest, with their roster. But the more interesting really is potential conversations around Boston, Toronto again, maybe even the Falcons. So yeah, intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. It's just interesting timing, right? Because Major 2's qualifiers are starting to shape up. We've had 1 weekend of games. We've got another weekend of games coming up. We've got 4 more weeks or whatever it is after that of all these qualifiers going into the Major in Birmingham. The bottom 2 teams don't even get to go. But again, it's why it's kind of funny, because there used to be roster locks where you could only change at certain times. Not really a thing anymore. You kind of do whatever you want. And I'm down for that, right? It means more roster drama, more chaos to talk about. But you've, on one hand, got the league saying, oh no, we can't possibly put Saki in because we couldn't possibly do that in the middle of a qualifier run. Well, you got half the teams blowing it up, apparently, during the middle of the qualifier run. I mean, they've not even blown up after the major. They've decided to come back and play a couple of weeks of online COD, and if it doesn't work out, now they're going to pull the trigger, and justifiably so. This is a very important stint from now until the end of March, because there are so many matches played, and you know how many points are accrued through online qualifiers, and we've got 11 of them to be played. Like, arguably for the lower tier teams, this you have to deliver in these next few weeks, because if you don't, someone else will, and they're going to qualify for champs ahead of you at the end of the season, because there were just so many points up for grabs. I think Major 3, Major 4, there are only like 5 qualifiers again. It's certainly no more than 7. So this is a really important stint. It's understandable why teams are trying to pull the trigger and make some changes, but the timing and the consequences are a good question, and whether they should as well. Again, the bottom 2 teams don't even go to Birmingham, so you don't want to be in that position either, unless you're Cloud and you want to save some money on flights, in which case maybe tactically a good idea. OpTic were also scrimming last night, played a couple of scrims. I think they played Ravens. They also played FaZe. The FaZe one was the major one that was turning heads. Of course, this was in that Toronto scrim that we saw. We talked about it yesterday. One of the plays that Mercules was making here, which was pretty outrageous. You don't see a 4-piece every so often, a quad feed in the feed. But this was one of the clips that was really turning heads in this FaZe game. We know that Overload might not be in as good a spot as it has been. There's talk about the spawns. And if you watch this minute, you will see what we quite often tend to see in Overload scrims, which is people just running around, right? Like Shotzzy's just running around at the end of this, even when it's in an overtime, which you wouldn't really see in normal play. Drazah's popping double knives, which was honestly pretty well done. And where they've changed the portal, you know, they moved the portal slightly here on the den, it means that Drazah was in good position to take advantage of that. So it looks like OpTic are going to lose this map. Then all of a sudden it's a tie game. Then it comes down to an overtime where FaZe try to make the run for it and Mercules steps in.
But it's still not like that doped up. Like you're still kind of just like, how much does this really mean?
Oh,
What? He just double knife people. Fuck it, I'll call game. Like Drazah just double knifed 2 people while 1 shot, by the way. That was insane. That was insane. And just won the game.
Nice.
Wait.
2 kills. Run. All right, we're gonna tie it. All right,
what the fuck?
Here.
That was insane. Drazah just fucking knifed 2 of them.
Stay alive.
Okay, they got the spawn.
It's Drazah.
Shrieking.
I don't know where he is. Oh, and
yeah, like this type of shit only seen scrims. People running around like this in OT. That's a scrim play.
They're just gonna
go. They're just gonna go.
Oh, this is probably chalked. Oh, he missed the jump.
Oh my.
He missed the jump. We stopped it.
It's just Mercules.
Fucked up the jump.
What the fuck? See, this is lit.
God. What the fuck?
This is lit. That was lit. All the OMGs we're all feeling right now, that happened for 8 seconds.
So there was also talk about this moment at the end of the map here when, so, I mean, it was a funny overtime. You wouldn't really see this, I don't think, in a proper match, but I guess we can go full screen for a little bit. So anyway, it becomes a 4 versus 4. Everyone spawns back up. Shotzzy is, I mean, I don't really know where he's off to. He's trying to find a kill before they trade him out. He unfortunately goes down. So now it's a 3v4 and FaZe decide, okay, we're going to run the ball. 0-4's over here. It looks like it's going to be an absolute guarantee. Mercules makes the right play. He kills Drazah, and if the portal was where it used to be, slightly further in front, this would be over, right? But instead, 0-4, he goes for the dolphin dive. Now, if he just runs around the corner, you know, should he go for the chal here? People were just talking about this because we know that 0-4's record in finals isn't great, and until 0-4 gets over the hurdle, people aren't going to be talking about it, right? On Surge last year, they lost all those finals on LAN and online, and then in the most recent major, they go up 5-2 against Neptune and the boys on Gentlemix in the map 5. They bottle it 6-5. So, look, people have always said FaZe are breakers, and yes, this is a scrim, but people weren't discussing it, right? Because 0-4, he goes for the dive over the box, he gets stuck on the box, mantles, Mercules kills him, and then the ball is down here. Huke picks it up anyway, and then swiftly after that the round is over. So yeah, not pretty. Obviously you can give Merc the credit and the praise, but equally I think if 0-4 plays this one slightly differently, it probably is a different result. But yeah, again, a mistake that you certainly wouldn't want to see that at COD Champs Grand Finals, would you? So I guess get it out the way in a scrim might well be the argument. But into your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We used to, in AW when I was teaming with Zinni and Tyler Fellow, Zinni didn't want to team with him anymore. So we spawned in every day and team killed Tyler Fellow on scrims until he left.
Wait, that is the most toxic thing I think I've ever I mean, at that point, like, one way to get a change.
It wasn't even like we would just team kill him like until he left the game. It was like throughout every map we would just all team kill him like 5 times.
So no one wanted him on the team.
No. But we would just team kill him until he left our team, basically. But we would do it like all day. It's like, oh my bad, Tyler, but we just like killed him.
That's toxic.
Bro, we were all like 18 years old, man. It was a great time. So I think how old were we? 17? Still in high school.
AW?
Yeah.
I was
it was
16.
17. Good times, man.